We have to walk away. And then I'm like grabbing her and she's turning around to look at them and she's still talking smack. I'm like, go.
Nobody told you the real story. The media gave you the highlights, the post-game interviews, the carefully polished sound bites. But when the PR filters drop, when the cameras are supposedly off, and when two of the most competitive women in professional basketball stop pretending to be composed, that is when you see who they actually are. And what came out of this rare, unfiltered interview between Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston was something nobody in the sports world was fully prepared for. Meltdowns got exposed, a secret pregame ritual got revealed for the first time, and the two of them roasted each other with absolutely zero mercy. This is not the version of the Indiana Fever that the league wants you to see. This is the raw, chaotic, hilarious, and deeply competitive truth behind one of the most talked about partnerships in women's basketball right now. Do not look away. The first thing you need to understand about Aliyah Boston is that she does not hide her frustration. She cannot, because the moment a questionable call goes against her on the court, her body gives her away before she even opens her mouth. Caitlin Clark, given the opportunity to demonstrate exactly what an Aliyah Boston crash out looks like, did not hesitate for a single second. She went straight for the most specific, most hilarious detail, the mouthpiece. The second an offensive foul gets called against Aliyah and she disagrees with it, that mouthpiece is coming out immediately.
Offensive
Are you
foul.
kidding?
Not reluctantly, immediately. It is her visual tell, her uncontrollable reflex, the thing that signals to everyone on the court that Aliyah Boston has officially had enough. Caitlin joked that she personally refuses to wear a mouthpiece during games for two very specific reasons. First, she cannot breathe properly with one in. Second, and arguably more importantly, it makes it significantly harder to yell at the referees at the speed she requires. She also made it crystal clear that she wants absolutely no part of Aliyah's mouthpiece anywhere near her, describing the chaos of trying to avoid the spit flying during a full crash-out meltdown. The locker room laughter that followed said everything. But the mouthpiece was only the beginning of what Aliyah does when she loses her cool. And what came next was somehow even more calculated than anyone expected. Most players, when they disagree with a call, will throw their hands up, shake their head, maybe scream something general into the air. That is the standard template for referee complaints across professional basketball. Aliyah Boston does not use the standard template. According to Caitlin Clark, Aliyah takes her frustration to a level that is both completely unhinged and oddly surgical at the same time.
Can you
Looking at the officials as a faceless group, Aliyah zeroes in on the specific referee responsible for the call she disagrees with, looks them directly in the eye and uses their first name. Not their title, not a generic insult, their actual first name. Joe, horrible call, direct, personal, and completely unmistakable. There is zero ambiguity about who she is talking to and exactly what she thinks of their decision. It is a form of trash talk that is almost admirable in how calculated it is. While every other player in the league is screaming into the void, Aliyah Boston is making sure the referee responsible for ruining her night knows precisely who she is and exactly how she feels about them. It reveals something important about her competitive personality. She is not reactive in a sloppy, uncontrolled way. Even when she is furious, she is focused. She knows exactly who she wants to target, and she hits the mark every single time. But if you walked away from this interview thinking Aliyah is the volatile one in this partnership, Caitlin Clark is about to completely destroy that assumption. Here is the thing about Caitlin Clark. She spent a significant portion of this interview gleefully exposing Aliyah Boston's crash-outs, her mouthpiece habits, her referee interactions, acting like the calm, composed, rational one in the partnership. And then Aliyah flipped the entire script. Earlier in the season, Caitlin had actually teased her teammate Lexi Hull relentlessly about receiving a technical foul in their first game, joking that Lexi had hit absolute rock bottom while Caitlin herself had barely even spoken to the referees. It sounded like the self-portrait of a composed, measured professional. Aliyah Boston immediately made it clear that this self-portrait is a complete work of fiction. According to Aliyah, when Caitlin Clark reaches her boiling point on the court, all composure evaporates instantly. She will march directly up to the officials without hesitation, both hands flying in the air, and scream, "Are you kidding me?" at a volume and intensity that makes the situation escalate rapidly. The scene gets so heated so quickly that Aliyah has been forced to step in as the designated enforcer on multiple occasions. She will physically grab Caitlin and begin dragging her away from the referees before things spiral completely out of control. And here is the part that makes the whole thing even more chaotic. Even as Aliyah is pulling her away, Caitlin refuses to stop. She keeps turning her head back toward the officials, still talking smack, still making her feelings known, even while being physically removed from the situation. Aliyah described the experience of trying to drag a still arguing Caitlin Clark across the court as genuinely exhausting. And it turns out, she is not the only one who has had to intervene. When your own teammates have to physically remove you from the referees on a regular basis, that is already a significant statement about your competitive intensity. But the Indiana Fever's sideline chaos runs even deeper than that. Caitlin and Aliyah openly admitted during the interview that head coach Stephanie White has been pulled directly into the mayhem on multiple occasions. Coach White has had to physically step in, pushing players away from the officials herself, making it abundantly clear that she is the one who handles referee complaints, not the players. The image of a head coach physically separating her own players from the officials mid-game says a great deal about the culture inside that locker room. It is not a passive, quiet, composed environment. It is a fiercely competitive, emotionally charged, win-at-all-costs atmosphere where the fire burns on the bench just as intensely as it does on the court. And both players were completely unbothered admitting all of this publicly, which says just as much about who they are. They are not pretending to be perfectly composed professionals. They are competitive, emotional, and fully committed, and they own every single second of it. Both Caitlin and Aliyah acknowledge that once you are in the arena in uniform, with thousands of fans screaming around you, rational thought does not really factor into the equation anymore. The competitive instinct takes over completely. But when the final buzzer sounds and the intensity cools down, what exists between these two goes far deeper than basketball ever could. Neither Caitlin Clark nor Aliyah Boston can tell you exactly when it started. Neither of them can point to a specific game, a specific moment, or a specific conversation where they decided this was going to become a thing. It just happened, organically, quietly, and then suddenly it was locked in permanently. What began as a simple supportive hug on the bench before tip-off gradually evolved into something far more specific and far more necessary. During their embrace, Caitlin started repeating the exact same phrase to Aliyah every single time. The same words, the same delivery, every game without variation. And somewhere along the way, that repetition transformed from a habit into an ironclad superstition that neither of them is willing to break. Aliyah confessed during the interview that she genuinely, desperately needs this ritual before every single game, not as a nice gesture, not as a team bonding moment. She needs it the way an athlete needs their warm-up, their tape job, their pre-game meal. If it does not happen, she feels the energy is already wrong before the opening tip. Caitlin agreed without hesitation. Skip the ritual, and the game already feels like it is starting on the wrong foot before a single point has been scored. What makes this particularly fascinating is that neither of them engineered it. There was no conversation, no agreement, no decision. It built itself out of genuine chemistry and genuine trust. You cannot manufacture that kind of mental synchronicity between two players. Either it exists or it does not. And between these two, it clearly runs deeper than most people realize. But the bond between Caitlin and Aliyah does not stay locked inside the arena. And what happens when they are off the court is just as entertaining as anything that happens on it. If you want to understand the dynamic between Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston away from the court, the April Fool's prank moment tells you everything you need to know. During the interview, the host executed a brilliantly timed prank on Aliyah, convincing her that she was about to receive $1.7 million in retroactive payment from her legendary college career at South Carolina. For a brief, glorious moment, Aliyah felt like a millionaire. And in that moment, with total confidence and zero hesitation, she declared that she would be covering everyone's dinner. The generosity was immediate and effortless, because when you think you just received $1.7 million, picking up a dinner tab feels like nothing. Then the prank landed. The $1.7 million evaporated, and so did the dinner offer, instantly and without apology. The speed at which Aliyah revoked her generous dinner declaration, the moment she realized it was a joke, was one of the funniest moments of the entire interview, and it revealed exactly the kind of personality she carries off the court: quick, sharp, and not about to let anyone take advantage of a single unguarded moment. Caitlin, for her part, stepped in and settled the debate without making it complicated. If the check lands on the table, she throws her card down. No discussion, no hesitation, no drama. It is a small moment, but it captures something real about who Caitlin is as both a teammate and a person, someone who leads without needing to announce it. And just when the interview could not get any more entertaining, the two of them stumbled into the most gloriously ridiculous debate of the entire conversation. To close out the interview, the group tackled what might be the single most important question of the entire WNBA season: who would win in a straight-up physical fight, an Iowa Hawkeye or a South Carolina Gamecock? Caitlin Clark took a moment, seemingly genuinely considering whether a Gamecock could even get off the ground properly, questioning the bird's aerodynamics and overall combat capabilities before delivering her verdict with complete confidence. The Hawkeye wins. No contest. It is a completely absurd debate, entirely meaningless in the grand scheme of professional sports, and yet it perfectly captures exactly what makes this Indiana Fever squad so magnetic right now. The willingness to be fully unguarded, fully themselves, fully ridiculous when the moment calls for it. That is not something every franchise can claim. Most professional sports teams present a carefully curated version of themselves to the public. Media training, polished answers, controlled narratives. The Fever, at least in this interview, threw all of that completely out the window. What you got instead was two elite competitors who genuinely like each other, genuinely push each other, and genuinely make each other better both on and off the court. They go to war with the referees together. They drag each other away from disaster together. They perform their secret ritual together before every single tip-off. And when the game is over, they laugh about all of it together. That is not just good chemistry. That is the foundation of something that could last for years inside that locker room. Here is what this interview actually revealed, underneath all the laughter and the roasting and the mouthpiece jokes. Two players who are completely, authentically themselves, competitive enough to get physically removed from referees, close enough to have built an unspoken ritual neither of them can explain, and self-aware enough to laugh about all of it publicly without a single filter. The Indiana Fever are not just building a basketball team. They are building something that feels genuinely rare in professional sports right now, a culture where intensity and joy exist in exactly the same space. Whether that translates into a championship is a question only time can answer. But the foundation looks more solid than most people are giving them credit for. The real question is, how far can this partnership actually take them? Stay locked with my channel, Simply Explained. Subscribe for more exclusive WNBA drama, behind-the-scenes access, and player breakdowns.